Saturday night, I am Thabo Mdluli, and thank you for joining us tonight here on In Focus. Last week, we shared with you a statement on gender-based violence and human rights by Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Maite Nkoana-Mashabane. This was against the backdrop of the murder of Hillary Gardee and the ever-increasing number of reported acts of violence against women and children in the country. Between July and September last year, over 9,000 gender-based violence cases were reported, while over 120,000 cases were reported during the first COVID-19 lockdown. For more on the link between gender-based violence, rights and freedoms, we are joined now by a Minister in the Presidency for Youth and Women and People with Disabilities, Maite Nkoana-Mashabane. Minister, good evening and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight up here on In Focus. Maybe let's begin by saying if we look at a report released in 2019 by the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, available evidence indicates that the scale of gender-based violence, including femicide in the country, is continuing to be alarmingly high. In your own assessment, what lies behind our failures to address the gender-based violence situation in South Africa?
Well, I think we should first say our heads hang in shame again as we condole the family of Gardee and of Tukani, because there was also, as this 28-year-old Hillary Gardee, may her soul rest in peace, Emihle Tukani, a 12-year-old, was also killed. As you said, according to reports and stats we have, almost every 3 hours there is a woman that gets killed. All over the world, through the United Nations, since we came back from Beijing, we speak of gender-based violence. Here in South Africa, we say gender-based violence and femicide. We should not try and lower our tones when we talk to this issue of femicide. Femicide is when women die in the hands of people who know them. And of course it can be just a thuggerism, but half the time it's by people who know, or in many cases who are supposed to protect and love them. South Africa has become number 4 in the world with the scourge of femicide. And that's why I say, as we condole the families, we also want to say that we are with them and that government is out there. Government needs to work with the society.
Yeah.
We have a saying which we believe in, that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah. The state government, as you put it, cannot absolve itself from its obligation to ensure the protection of victims of gender-based violence, but also bring about assistance. Let's just look at 3 areas that pick my mind that are becoming an area of concern that we have not managed to address adequately. 1, failing to remove economic and social barriers to access to justice faced by victims of domestic violence by not providing affordable or, if necessary, free legal aid and reimbursement of costs for travel to courts by failing to create supportive environment for women to report incidents of gender-based violence, domestic violence, and ensure that the courts are treating these particular matters as sensitive procedurally as they should be. And it's a mouthful, but essentially what it means, we have not removed this economic barrier. So women don't report gender-based violence issues because some of them believe that the justice system is just purely unaffordable.
Well, the truth that you and I know very well is that the real economic barrier, it's about the inequalities in our societies. That men are men, and men should get the jobs first, and that men with toxic masculinity, when they are jobless, they're next to feel that they are not men enough would be the ones living closer or nearer them. Secondly, you spoke of economic barriers. Economic barriers that we should be focusing on, you and I, is the fact that if we're talking unemployment, it should be about men and women and not one side. Economic barriers, again, if you talk of ownership of economic means of production, it's owned largely by men and less by women. Economic barriers again, if a woman gets drunk, come home drunk on Friday and do funny things at home because of toxic masculinity and gets reported, by Monday or Tuesday, the woman or the wife or the girlfriend will be intimidated about, unless you withdraw the case, you will see to finish. Yeah. You will not get the support, or the family that will not get the support that was getting. Yeah. Yes, courts should do more. Through government, we had formed, through the instruction of or a letter from our president, an interministerial committee, which includes justice. I heard you talk of courts. If women could not or couldn't be encouraged or to withdraw cases. By the way, I actually thought it was just black women who do that, until one day we had a webinar that I saw women of other races also confirming this, that on maintenance, if they do not withdraw cases, they do not get their way out of trouble. Yeah.
But are you satisfied then from where you sit? I mean, part of what your obligation and responsibility is to create a policy environment that ensures that there is adequate access to justice. Are you satisfied that the policies that are in place right now are adequately doing that, or there needs to be some adjustments?
Well, we are not making just talking about adjustments. Are we satisfied? The answer is no. When we started, I said we need to tackle this second pandemic, second after COVID, that is facing South Africa. It needs the entirety of the society. Secondly, we should make good use of the IMC, the Interministerial Committee members. I've already referred to that. It's got myself, Minister of Justice, Minister of Police, Minister of Social Development, Minister of Public Service and Administration, because this thing of gender-based violence happens even within some government quarters. People will be working for government. Yeah. during the day, and at night they do funny things. So they also got monitored there. Before we go to NPA, we should have started at home.
What can the IMC do? What can the interministerial do as far as the capacity within there to deal with these issues?
The Interministerial Committee helps form policies that you are referring to.
Yeah.
But the legs that is and coordination.
Right.
At the moment, through the IMC, President receives a report of what the individual departments do, or information they collect about what's happening in their own departments.
Yeah.
And this go to the President every month.
Yeah.
We call it, it comes through the implementation of the NSP.
Yeah. So what are you saying to your colleague? I just want to get to the bottom of it. You look at Minister Lamula, you're sitting together in the IMC, and when you challenge him and you say, Minister, we need to come up with policies that make justice affordable for all women, especially disadvantaged, so that they are able to get good lawyers that represent them without having to feel the burden to say, well, I'm not working, my husband is working, and because he's working and he's got more money, he can hire better lawyers, and therefore they can fight for him better than they can fight for me. What are you saying to your colleague when you look at him and say, let us make courts affordable for women, or let's give them legal aid that makes sure that they afford good lawyers that go to represent them?
Well, the challenges that we face as a nation just doesn't start with me looking at Lamola at one afternoon and say, Minister of Justice, let's do 1, 2, 3. It is how we form sustainable policies, how he would go to Parliament and come up with 3 laws that are permanently there, that enhance the protection of women vis-a-vis gender-based violence and femicide. So we do real things. We don't joke about.
No, I'm saying that is because one of the UN recommendations that were given to South Africa in terms of dealing with gender-based violence is exactly that, to say one of the areas where we are failing right now is particularly at the area of low levels of prosecution and conviction, because the cases that sometimes end up in our courts are not strong enough because women lack proper representation to make those cases to be successful.
What is also a problem that we are not talking about is exactly what I said earlier on. The society needs to come closer because, and to deal with that, you started at a very high level. We are now working with a program which was started by the Minister of Local Government.
Yeah. Hold that thought, Minister. The program that started by Cocktail. Let's take a break because I want to give you enough time for you to expand a little bit on that. The Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, stays on. When we come back, she'll expand a little bit more on this program started by Cocktail and how this aims to tackle gender-based violence in South Africa. Your views, you can weigh in tonight, 072-110-5584 or tweet us at Newzroom405. In Focus continues next. Welcome back. We are with the Minister in the Presidency for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, and we are looking what lies behind failure to address the gender-based violence situation in South Africa, as by all accounts, even a minister admitting that the scourge of gender-based violence in the country continues to be at an alarmingly high rate, and this is beginning to impact on the rights of women broadly. Now, Minister, before the break, you were saying there is an intervention at a COGTA level to address the situation. Expand a little bit on what that intervention is.
What exactly it means is that this scourge takes place at a locality. So if an incident takes place at a locality, it should be that the locality has to work with all the government agencies urgently, immediately, so that you can then see the progress we say we all want, and that which we are also encouraged that we are following on the work of the UN, which we were there when it started, and we are part of that program.
Yeah.
We call it district development model.
Yes.
Wherever, whenever, at whichever point a woman gets rights, gets interfered with, she needs to be protected. Our women need to feel safe, need to be wherever they want to be at whatever time. That's when they will be able to participate fully in the economic well-being of this country. This coming August, our president will be launching another initiative, which is a follow-up of what we did last year with the roll-up of the NSP. There is not a day that passes by and there is a wink without focusing on the rights of women and girl children, disabled, abled, youth, young women in particular. If this country is going to turn around the economy that is struggling, it is because women would have been given an opportunity to play their part, as we always do. Yeah.
Now, the NSP, you're speaking about the National Strategic Plan Against Gender-Based Violence. One of the things that come up out of the NSP is this question of ensuring the protection of those who report, in as far as protection orders are concerned. Now, if we look at numbers between 2018 and 2019, out of 144,000 applications for protection orders, only 22,000 were given. That's dismally low. Many protection orders are not granted, Minister. And those that are granted, it is also said that most of them, the protection order called for the abuser to just sleep in a different room in the same house. How are we addressing that situation?
Well, the protection order has the eye of the Minister of Justice, and he is strengthening the areas that needs attention. One of them is women can no longer just, women again, for women. They cannot, go to a police station, lodge a protection order and go withdraw on a Monday morning. If they do so, the police and the courts are mandated to keep them. There's nothing like in the past where they could just walk in, withdraw, and so on. But also strengthening shelters, areas where women who are abused can get protected while they think of their next move. Protection also of victims who have become survivors, that they encourage others to get support. But above all that I've said before, it's going to take all of us the society to say when a woman says no, she means no, and no is not no, yes.
Yeah.
And that it is a responsibility not only of women who are abused to make sure that they don't get abused. It is the responsibility of the society, the entirety of the society, that women do not get abused.
You started the conversation, Minister, by talking about stereotypes in society, in community, that legitimize domestic violence. You spoke about things like patriarchy. You spoke about things like attitudes in the workplace, attitudes even in government that promote discriminatory stereotypes. So what are you as a department adopting and effectively implementing and adequately funding? Three things: adopting, effectively implementing, and adequately funding that deal with these stereotypes. Measures that you're putting in place to deal with patriarchy, to deal with these stereotypes that seem to legitimize domestic violence and promote it.
You have heard me well. This department, it is not a service provision department, but it is a department under the presidency that monitors areas where we should be strengthening. And one of them is taking care of our vulnerable people in the society. Women, youth, and people living with disabilities.